Have you ever wondered why, when you walk away from a man, he doesn't pursue you in the way you expected? Why the chase stops, but the yearning lingers, unspoken, unresolved, and haunting? He doesn't want you. He wants the ache you left. This is not just a matter of desire. It is an emotional and psychological dynamic as old as human relationships. And it lies in the depths of unconscious attraction, where the shadows of both your psyche and his dance together, unseen but potent. It is the ego's projection onto another soul, an attempt to heal the wounds that cannot be faced, to mend the broken parts without ever confronting them. The truth is, this yearning, this magnetic pull, is not rooted in you as the person he desires, but in the unspoken, unsolved ache that lingers from the abandonment of something much deeper within him. The ache of his own soul, lost in a labyrinth of fears, insecurities, and unresolved conflicts. He chases not what you give, but what you withhold, the feeling of longing, the void you leave behind. For in that void, he finds himself, or perhaps he hopes he does. Carl Jung would argue that this is the projection of the shadow, the part of the psyche that we refuse to integrate, the parts of ourselves that we fear or loathe, but that ultimately seek expression through others. The shadow is the unconscious realm of what is rejected in the self, often manifesting in relationships as idealization or disillusionment. What you represent to him is not your full, glorious self, your strengths, your beauty, your warmth, but the fractured pieces of his own psyche. He may not even know this consciously. He may call it love, he may call it desire, but it is neither. It is his attempt to claim back the parts of himself that he cannot own, cannot love, cannot face. It is a common trap for women to become the object of this projection, to become the mirror in which a man sees only his desire, not the fullness of who you are. He is not in love with you. He is in love with the image of himself that he sees reflected in your absence, in the way you are not there to heal him. He is not chasing you. He is chasing the feeling of needing something he cannot possess. This is where the tragedy lies. It is not the man who holds the power. It is the woman who holds the key to her own emotional freedom, to her own individuation. To become aware of this dynamic, to step out of the cycle of being desired and discarded, is to break free from the unconscious patterns that bind you. You are not the object of anyone's projections. You are the creator of your own narrative. Do you see now? He doesn't want you. He wants the ache you left behind, because in that ache, he thinks he can find himself. But the truth is, he never will. Not until he faces the parts of himself that he has cast aside, until he faces the truth within his own soul. And until then, his need for you will remain a longing, a ghost, a shadow of what could have been. When a man projects his unhealed wounds onto you, it is an unconscious plea for redemption. Yet the redemption he seeks can never be granted through external means. It is a lonely journey inward, one that demands the courage to face the darkest corners of his own psyche. And this is where you come in, not as a savior, not as a fixer, but as the catalyst for his confrontation with his own truths. But what of you? What happens to the woman caught in this web of projection? The one who becomes the object of someone else's unspoken and often unrecognized desire for healing? In the process, she may lose herself, losing sight of her own worth in the chaos of another's need. She becomes the mirror, reflecting back an image of someone she is not, yet often feeling obligated to become what he desires. The archetype of the anima, as Jung might describe it, plays a role here. The anima represents the unconscious feminine within the male psyche, a projection of all that he cannot face in himself. For a man, the woman he desires often becomes the manifestation of his anima, an idealization, a projection, a reflection of all that is mysterious, unattainable, and deeply emotional within him. And in this game of projection and longing, it is the woman who must learn not to lose herself in the idealized image that he constructs. What does it mean to be the anima for someone? To be the embodiment of all the unconscious longings, fears, and desires they cannot express. It means to walk a tightrope, to remain whole and intact while others search for their own missing pieces within you. It means understanding that the ache they seek from you is not the reflection of your worth, but of their inability to face their own fractured soul. Jung spoke of individuation, the process by which one becomes whole, integrating both the conscious and unconscious parts of the self. This process is essential for emotional freedom. And it is here, in the tension between the projections of others and the truth of who you are, that the woman must find her strength. Not in the validation or acceptance of those who cannot see her, but in the quiet understanding that she must choose herself. The tragic irony of these dynamics is that when a man projects his unhealed wounds onto a woman, he inadvertently disempowers both himself and her. The woman who cannot separate herself from these projections loses her own autonomy, and the man who refuses to confront his shadow remains locked in a cycle of unattainable longing. Neither can experience the fullness of a healthy, empowering connection, because they are both lost in the illusion of what could have been. This is where you, the woman, must take a stand. To step away from the projections, to recognize that you are not the vessel for another's redemption. You are not here to fix what is broken in someone else. Your value lies not in your ability to heal his wounds, but in your capacity to heal your own. The moment you reclaim your sense of self, when you detach from the external need for validation and recognition, true emotional freedom begins. As you step into the power of your own individuation, you awaken to the stark truth that your worth is not, and never will be, defined by another's projections. You are not a mirror reflecting back a distorted version of yourself, nor are you a puzzle piece that completes someone else's fractured existence. You are whole. You are enough, exactly as you are. And when you truly realize this, the chains that once bound you to the desires and expectations of others begin to loosen. The key to freedom, to emotional liberation, lies in the understanding that you are not defined by external validation. A woman who knows her worth is not seeking approval, nor is she chasing fleeting attention. She is not bound to the whims of someone who cannot see her in her entirety. She no longer seeks to fill the empty spaces within others, because she has already filled her own. This is the crux of the Jungian journey, the sacred task of becoming your true self. It is in the act of confronting your own shadows, of fully embracing every part of you, both light and dark, that you come into your power. You are not the projections of those who cannot see you. You are not the woman who exists to fill the gaps in someone else's story. You are the heroine of your own narrative, and this is where the true power lies. Imagine for a moment that you no longer crave his attention, his validation, or his desire. Imagine that you stand fully in your own light, unshaken by the projections that once clouded your vision. The ache he once felt for you is no longer yours to carry. His need for your absence has no hold over you. You are free, free to create, to explore, and to love from a place of abundance rather than need. You become an embodiment of self-love, standing firmly in your own autonomy. And in this newfound strength, you not only reclaim yourself, you reclaim the power to choose. You may be wondering, but what about love? What about connection? True love, the kind that sustains and nurtures, is built on equality, on mutual respect, and on shared individuation. It is not built on the need for validation or the desire to fill a void. True connection comes when two individuals, each whole in themselves, meet and choose to walk alongside each other, rather than cling to each other in fear of being alone. This is the way forward. To be in a relationship not because you need to be needed, but because you choose to be with someone who sees you as you are, complete, whole, and free. And when you enter relationships with this understanding, the dynamic shifts. No longer are you bound by the projections of another's unconscious, and no longer do you cling to someone else's desires for validation. Instead, you stand tall, side by side, in the full strength of your individual selves. The woman who understands this is not afraid of solitude, because she knows that solitude is where her power grows. She is not afraid of rejection, because she knows that her worth is inherent, unshaken by external forces. She is not afraid of change, because she is in the driver's seat of her own life, creating a narrative that is hers to shape. And so, she chooses herself, not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. She is the heroine of her own story, and she knows that the only approval she needs is her own. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.